Show. This is the first show that we're having at the Cannabis Radio Network. My show is the BARRETT Report, so I want to welcome everybody to the first show. My show, the BARRETT Report, we're going to be discussing everything that's everything cannabis in Massachusetts. So my show, we're going to talk specifically about what's going on in Massachusetts with the laws, with the opening of the dispensaries, where you can get the best product for the cheapest amount of money. So we're going to be talking about a whole host of different things on the BARRETT Report. But the Cannabis Radio Network in general is going to have three different shows. You're going to have the BARRETT Report, which is going to come to you every Sunday night at 9 o'clock. We're also going to be introducing in June the Grow Show. And that show is going to be 1 hour every week as well. We don't know the date yet of the time or not the time, but we don't know the day yet where we're going to have it. I think it's going to be Sunday night right before my show, the BARRETT Report. But that show, the Grow Show, is going to be for growers, obviously. So we're going to have expert growers coming on the show. And our shows are really designed for you, the viewer, because we want you to call in and ask questions. It's really an interactive show. We're on YouTube, we're on Facebook. My name is Donald Barrett, and obviously I'm the host of the BARRETT Report. I'm here with my sidekick tonight, Ken. Ken is also on the controls, but he's going to be chiming in from time to time when we're talking about various things. So you're going to have the BARRETT Report, you're going to have the Grow Show, and then in September we're introducing a new show called Cashing In. We're going to be featuring two companies every week. So if you're in the investment world, if you're looking at cannabis in the cannabis industry or cannabis companies to invest in, that show is going to be right up your alley. So with all that's going on in the cannabis world, the Cannabis Radio Network is really, bound for greatness. We have thousands of viewers just in the first few weeks. We went to the NECANN event, not last Sunday, which was Easter, the Sunday before, and there was over 250 exhibitors at the NECANN event. This is the largest cannabis convention in Boston. Over 250 exhibitors, over 8,000 people showed up. And it's on in Massachusetts, even though a lot of the politicians and a lot of the governing agencies and boards want to slow it down. We'll be talking about that as well. But it's on here in Massachusetts. So it's a very, very exciting time. So, Ken, I want to talk about some of the news this week
Sure.
around cannabis. And, the K2, this, what do they call it? This spice or skleam. They call it a bunch of different things. It's synthetic marijuana. You saw out I believe it was Chicago, where people are running out in the streets. I think one person dropped dead. A lot of people had to be seen by emergency services and rushed to the hospital. And this synthetic marijuana is bad stuff. And let's face it. I mean, who really wants to smoke it? I mean, Ken, have you ever smoked synthetic marijuana?
I never have.
I never have.
And I never will.
All right.
So
synthetic marijuana, folks, it's an interesting phenomenon, how it was actually developed, because it was developed by obviously a scientist in a laboratory. It's a synthetic chemical that mimics the effect of THC. And these things were widely available across Massachusetts. You could virtually walk into any gas station, any convenience store, and they'd be there. You'd see like a picture of Scooby-Doo or something on the front cover. And it'd be like $10 for a small package. If we have a picture, we'll pull it up. But why are people smoking this? There's only a few reasons. If you're on probation, you're smoking it because they're taking drug tests all the time for marijuana. Now, hopefully when it goes recreationally legal, they're not going to do that all the time. But one of the reasons why people smoke this stuff is because they're being drug tested and it doesn't show up on a drug test. And people ask me, have you tried it? Have you tried K2? And folks, honestly, I'm going to tell you K2, how I got introduced to K2, and I'll tell you my experience on it, because it's a frightening product. And if they would just make cannabis legal federally, we wouldn't have this issue. It's another reason why we're going in the direction that we're going in, and that's legalizing cannabis federally. But this synthetic pot, I wasn't always the Cub Scout that I am now, or Boy Scout that I am now, and I had to spend some time in a community confinement. I had some tax issues. So I was at a place called The Farm. A lot of people are familiar with it. We're in a Boston show. It's Massachusetts. I had to stay at the farm for a few months. And everybody at this place smoked this K2 because everybody was drug tested. Every 2 or 3 days, they'd call you color and you'd have to be drug tested. But I was only there for 3 months, and I'd smell this stuff. And, I liked marijuana. And one of the biggest things that, being there for me was not being able to smoke. So one night, when my roommate had this, they called it Skleam up there, and I tried it, and it really, I got a pleasant effect the first time. It was just the same effect that you'd expect from marijuana. But the funniest thing happened to me. I was like, I smoked it for a little while, probably about 30 days, and then one day I got it, and my friend met me at Walmart, and he gave me a package that he picked up for me, and I smoked it when he went into the store. And I swear to God, Ken, this is what happened. I swear to God. He came back out of the store, and I didn't recognize who he was. I couldn't tell. I looked at him, and I didn't even know who he was. And at that time, I had the bracelet on. I had to get home in like 15 minutes. I was freaking out. I mean, I couldn't believe, like, it was like total amnesia. And that was a scary, that was an eye-opening experience for me. And when I did research, because I'm a researcher and I go online and I peel back the layers of the onion, I find out that how they create this synthetic pot, if you will, is they take like potpourri leaves or things that look like marijuana, and they spray it with a chemical. And these machines, it's not like a scientific, it's not like in a medical lab being done scientifically at this point. So these machines can actually overspray the leaves. So when you hear stories like mine of people having total amnesia, or the Patriots player a few years ago that ran into the police station freaking out, or these people out in Chicago, they're saying it's a bunch of different reasons, but I think a big reason why a lot of people have an adverse effect is because a lot of these leaves are oversprayed. But the solution is what? I mean, Ken, the solution is simply legalizing marijuana. Why smoke synthetic chemicals? You're letting the youth and people kill themselves because people are going to get around it. And I can understand hard drugs, folks, but synthetic pot is only around because we haven't legalized pot federally yet, and it's going to happen, and I think it's going to happen in a big way. I could tell you a bunch of different reasons why I believe it's going to happen, but we're not going to discuss that on today's show. On tonight's show, we're going to be talking about having a medical cannabis card, a medical card for marijuana. And with the legalization coming up in July, just a few short months, a lot of people that have a medical card are wondering, hey, should I continue to get a medical card? Or a lot of people out there for the first time are wondering, hey, should I even get a medical card? And we're going to be talking about that in just a few minutes, and we're going to have a representative from Medwell Health, which is one of the leading companies out there. They have actually 5 different locations. They'll actually come to your home and go through the procedure you need to go through, or to go through the steps you need to go through to get your medical card. And I really couldn't believe all the reasons out there to get a medical card. So we're going to talk about that in just a few minutes. We're also going to talk about what's going on in Massachusetts. I mean, when I read the story this week, and this is an unbelievable number. We have 351 municipalities in Massachusetts, 351 cities and towns in Massachusetts. Now, Massachusetts voted for the legalization of recreational marijuana. I mean, we voted for this. This is something we voted for. We voted for this. I have it right here. 189 of these towns and cities, 189, Ken, have banned or barred it from their city. Now, it's pretty interesting. Why would they do that, right? I mean, why would they do that? Obviously, some towns are legitimately concerned. They're concerned. Maybe they don't have all the facts. They haven't read all the data. They think some towns, I still read that, the opiates are going to increase in their town if they allow marijuana. They obviously aren't in tune with a lot of the studies that are out there right now. But I think there's another reason. I think there's a big reason that really nobody wants to talk about, and it's called let's call it what it is. I think it's a little bit of maybe extortion. I'm not sure, but we're going to find out. I'll tell you that. what I mean by that is it's the tax rate in Massachusetts for cannabis, if you don't have your medical card, and we'll talk about that in just a second. But the tax rate in Massachusetts is going to be 17% from the state itself, and then the town can add a minimum of 3%, but they can add actually as much as they want to allow dispensaries in their town. So what's happening, Ken, is it's allowing for towns to basically say, we don't want cannabis in our town. However, if you're willing to pay us 5% or 6% or 7%, hey, we'll let you come on in. Basically, it's called, you pay to play. And that's what the commission, the Cannabis Commission, was trying to avoid in the first place. And that's what's happening. I mean, let's talk about Rhode Island for a second, just to stay on this topic, is, Rhode Island has 3 medical dispensaries. Now, the state of Rhode Island has a $5 million shortfall, if you will, in their budget. So what's on the table now is to introduce an additional 15 medical dispensaries to make up for that shortfall. Interestingly enough, one of those three companies that already have a medical store to sell medical marijuana, they said that they're willing to pay the $5 million as long as no other stores open. I mean, folks, this is what we're trying to avoid. I mean, that gets me fighting mad, that stuff. And I hope that stuff gets you a little angry too, because, hey, this is America. We have the free enterprise system. Anybody should go into any type of business they want and achieve any level of success they want based on their own hard work. And that's what the free enterprise system is all about. And what they're trying to do is stifle people and let the rich get richer. And that's happening a lot, and it's running rampant in the cannabis industry. So we'll get back to that. And we're going to take callers on a whole host of things. So if you're out there right now and you have any comments, suggestions, observations on the show, and you'd like to call in and ask questions, we have a call-in line. And every week that we do the show, we're going to have a call-in line. So the call-in line is 617-944-5111. Again, 617-944-5111. So if you have any comments, questions, observations, again, feel free to pick up the phone, call the number, or don't feel free to pick up the phone and call that number. You don't have to talk to anybody. It'll actually come right through to the station, and if we're available to take the call, we'll take the call. So give us a call anytime during the show. So I talked a little bit about the new show that's coming up on the Cannabis Radio Network called The Grow Show. And we're getting hundreds of emails, we're getting calls every day of people that are interested in learning how to grow from home. I mean, it's a big thing right now. I mean, every other person I run into is a grower, or they're creating edibles, and it's a fun time. But growing from home it can be challenging. I've had friends that spent thousands of dollars and spent months, and have had major failures and would never ever do it again, because they didn't have a step-by-step process, or they didn't have a mentor to call to show them or instruct them or guide them on how to do it the first time so they'd be successful, so they would want to do it again. That's one of the reasons why the Cannabis Radio Network is putting together the show, and it's going to be a weekly show, and it's going to be just like this one, where they're going to be taking call-ins. So you can call in, talk to experts. During the week, you can email questions into experts. If you're a grower and you are an expert, we'd love to have you on the show, The Grow Show. So it's going to be a great show. It's frankly, Ken, it's not a show that I would be interested in, just because, there's a lot of details going into growing. I'm not a grower. I'll be the first person to tell you. But people that are interested in that information love that information, and they'd love to hear from other growers and hear from what other people are doing. I think that's a great aspect of the Grow Show. I mean, did you ever grow before? I know you said you had a phototron. What do they call phototrons?
I always wanted one. Photron.
Photron.
I had one in my closet with a 4-foot fluorescent tube stuffed next to it. And it took over the whole closet.
A lot of people have had those. That's pretty funny. So, we're going to be taking calls, and again, in just a minute. Any thoughts on the towns?
Why would they be giving up so much revenue and so little control? If they license the businesses, they can make the rules. Otherwise, it just goes right back to the black market.
Well, I mean, that's a good point. I mean, think about it. And we're talking about 22% tax, 23%, 24%, depending on how these specific towns actually tax dispensaries. But that's a lot of money. I mean, if you're talking about buying a quarter ounce, if you buy a quarter ounce of weed, right? Say it costs you $100. Now you're paying $120, $122, maybe $130. I mean, people aren't mad now.
Teachers and firefighters, and they need new books for the schools and everything else.
The thing is, again, people aren't mad now because it's like the new couple that gets a mortgage. They're just so happy that they got approved for the mortgage. They don't care that they're paying 12%, okay? Because they're just so happy they got approved. Marijuana, cannabis users in Massachusetts, we're just so happy it got approved. We're kind of taking a blind eye to the 22% that we may be charged on this. And you know what? It doesn't hurt now, but you go to that dispensary month after month after month after month, and you're charged that 22%, and you're paying $120, $130 for a quarter. Let me tell you, that's going to hurt, and that's going to hurt a lot of people out there. So, I mean, it's something that's not being talked about again right now, but alcohol's not close to that.
It will be talked about. A lot of these are really small towns, and they have some tight budget issues. My hometown just denied a request for a new library. There was a bitter conversation in town for many months about it. And they just didn't have the money. And they're one of the towns that has put in a so-called ban against cannabis businesses.
Right.
But there's other towns that are embracing it, and they look at it as an economic windfall for their people, a chance to really turn things around.
Well, I think what happens is, like if you look at some of the other states that legalized cannabis, what happened was simply you see all these other towns and cities, and they have new playgrounds, and they have new schools, and they have new books, and they have all the kids have iPads, and the town next door is going, hey, what's going on? And they go, well, that town approved cannabis, right? That's what happens. Because anytime something's like screwed up like that, you just follow the money, and a lot of times they're just looking for that extra money. And towns, when they see it, sometimes they just have to see it. They have to see these other towns flourishing before they go, yeah, maybe we should accept that.
Yeah, then they're going to feel bad when they have to call for help, and it's a town that has the cannabis shop that shows up with the FLIR imaging system and finds the kids lost in the woods, or does some kind of a rescue for them with equipment that they didn't have in town.
Right. So, a bunch of different issues we're going to be talking about. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, call the line. We're going to be taking calls in just a few minutes. I do want to talk about CBDs, okay? Because at the NECAN show in Boston, obviously everybody was talking about cannabis and smoking and the recreational approval of cannabis. But just as popular, and actually what I've learned, which was an eye-opening experience for me, was even more popular than cannabis, are the medical benefits with this CBD. Now, the CBD is like an extract of cannabis or hemp, if you will, and the benefits are incredible. If you go online and just type it in, there's a whole host of ailments and a variety of challenges that this can take care of. I don't want to make any disease claims, of course, but the CBDs, one guy told me, are going to be 6 times more popular because of the benefits. And since cannabis has gone legal, I get phone call after phone call from a mother or family members that their child has anxiety, or they have fibromyalgia or aches and pains, or they're looking for a natural alternative, but they just don't want to get high. They're looking for natural CBD products, from companies that they can trust and companies that they know are ethical. Because just like in any business, once everybody jumps in the business once they, hey, you can make a bunch of money. And I see CBD products being sold in gas stations now. You can walk into convenience stores and you see CBD products. But it's pretty interesting that, what I learned at the show is not all CBD products are created equal. I mean, there's CBD from hemp, for instance, which one guy told me, one very educated gentleman that owns a lab told me that the CBD from hemp is absolutely useless. We're going to be doing a whole show on CBDs. It's all I can tell you, folks, is the testimonials and the stories that I've heard from people using CBD products are incredible. One of the most ethical companies out there that sell CBD products that I came across, and I like drinking coffee anyway, it's called the Flower Power Coffee Company. And they have an amazing line of coffees, but they also have products for the kids, like gummy bears and lollipops and other CBD products that aren't going to get them high, but are going to have all the benefits of the CBD that you're supposed to have, not like CBD from hemp. So the name of that company is called the Flower Power Coffee Company. So it's to go to their website, it's actually flowerpower.coffee. I remember the owner telling me that it's not .com. We're the only .coffee out there. Again, it's flowerpower.coffee. And our listeners actually get a 15% discount if you use the code. And the code that we give out on Flower Power Coffee is CRN15OFF. So just type in the code CRN15OFF, and you'll get a 15% discount right from the Flower Power Coffee website. Now, one of the reasons why I know the Flower Power Coffee Company to be an ethical company that tests their products is they use a lab that is, and there's a lot of different labs out there, and we'll talk about that. But the most impressive lab, if you will, they were on actually New Center 5 just a couple weeks ago, is a company called ProVerde Labs. Now, ProVerde Labs tests all the products that Flower Power Coffee offers on their website. So they've all been tested to make sure what's in there is in there and what's not supposed to be in there is not supposed to be in there. And that's important in this day and age. So if you're interested in trying a CBD product, if you like coffee, again, the Flower Power Coffee Company is a company you should check out, flowerpower.coffee. I mean, my ex-wife was saying not too long ago, my daughter, who's a cheerleader, Ken, she has these competitions every week. Okay, and it's like, first of all, when she called me and told me that she does cheerleading, I didn't understand that you couldn't cheer. When I grew up, cheerleaders, you were a cheerleader for a team. Now they're just cheerleaders to cheerlead. It's like a competition thing. Yep. And every weekend, they almost have a competition every weekend. They're going to Florida soon. She has terrible anxiety. I mean, before she goes on the stage with her squad, right? I got the terminology right. She gets this terrible anxiety. And my ex called me and she goes, I know you're involved in the cannabis and I know you know a lot of things and you know a lot of people. What can you tell me about these CBDs? And the first thing I recommended was, going to the Flower Power Coffee Company, getting a few of those products and trying them. She's going to try them this weekend. But, it's a marvelous product and it can work.
I have a story for you on that. I have a friend, his wife's a doctor. And he called me up the other day and asked me what I knew about CBDs for teenagers with anxiety. And I said, well, there's a lot of research, there's a lot of positive results. But people are, the regular medical community is not transmitting this information through regular channels. He had to ask me instead of asking his wife, who was a doctor.
Unbelievable.
It makes a lot of sense.
Right. So we have, and let me know when they're on the line. We have one of the labs calling in today. Medwell Health. I'm just waiting for the producers to tell me that Medwell Health is on the line. Jake, are they on the line yet? All right, let me know we're on the line because we're going to have an interview with Medwell Health, and our listeners are going to have a very special offer to go get their medical card, and you're going to find out in just a few minutes why, folks, why you need to get your medical card. I mean, I wasn't going to get my medical card. When I found out this information, I'm going this week. I'm going to Medwell Health this week to get my medical card. And they're a company, if you can't get there, they'll actually send somebody to your house. So there's absolutely no reason to get there's no reason not to get your medical card anymore. And we're just going to be talking about that in just a second. I'm sorry, Jake?
The juice is on the line. The juice? Calling about the juice?
All right. Hold on one second. We do have a caller. I think we have Deb from Rhode Island calling in. Deb, are you there? All right, this is the first time we're taking phone calls. I'm not sure what happened there, but we'll drop that.
Michelle, she's there?
All right, I think I got it here. Deb, are you there? Hi, Deb, are you there? Alrighty. I don't know what's going on there, folks. We'll be back with her in just a minute. Like I said, this is the first week we're here at the Cannabis Radio Network, so we're going to have some challenges from time to time. We're going to be taking people in on Skype. We're going to have people here live in the studio. We're going to be doing a whole host of things to talk about everything cannabis in Massachusetts here on the Barrett Report. And if you have a suggestion or a topic that you'd like discussed, hey, you can either call in live here on the show, or certainly you can call in or email the station during the week, and we can do that. So they're just getting the microphone straightened out here. Okay, I'm seeing a couple of callers on the line. I'm just not sure what's going on. All right, folks, we're going to start again in about 30 seconds. I'm just giving the technical crew a little bit of time to straighten things out here with the audio, and then we'll just continue. We're expecting a representative from Medwell Health to be on the line, because we're going to be talking about, and if they're not on the line, folks, I'm going to tell you why you should get a medical license, because I know why, and it really blew me away. The reasons why, the compounding reasons why you should continue to have your license for medical marijuana. All right, we have a caller?
Okay. Yep.
Hello?
Yep.
Hello, who's calling?
Abigail, you on there?
Hello?
Hello there.
You hear anybody, Ken?
I can hear
Well, I'm going to get a drink of water while I wait. Can anybody hear me out there? We're going to take another caller in just a minute.
Abigail calling in?
Abigail?
I think their contact spot is blocked.
All right, well, let's move right along.
Do you have any other callers?
I don't have anybody up on the screen here. It says 3 callers, but I just can't get anybody through. So let me just drop that. Hello, do we have a caller?
Hi, Don, can you hear me?
I can. Who is this? Who is calling?
Yay, this is Abigail.
Oh, finally, Abigail. How are you?
Yay, can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Yeah, thanks for calling. You're watching the show tonight?
I was watching the show, and then I'm calling in as well.
All right.
How are you guys doing tonight?
We're doing fantastic. It's our first show, so I want to thank you for watching, and thank you for calling in. Make sure you tell your friends.
Love it.
My IT guys promised that we're going to get all these technical
absolutely.
difficulties straightened out.
Oh, you guys are the bomb. I put you guys up in the group of Buds in Boston, Massachusetts 420, Smokers Club, my group. I've personally come out with Debbie and Rob. You guys are phenomenal. You guys are doing a great job. We love you. And, Joe, I know he's with family right now, so I am thinking of Joe in this time as well. And I did want to give a shout out, though,
appreciate that.
to Liquid Haze. So it's a new juice on the market, and you guys have fun, and I'll keep posting. And
well, you do edibles too. I mean, you're the edible expert. Am I right?
Yes, they love my balls. They
Right.
love my salty balls.
Yeah, I know. He brought a bunch over after he met with you last week, and you dropped a few off here at the studio, and we appreciate that. We have a.
I did some
All right.
peanut butter cookies and some gummies, and I think we left some of the Liquid Haze with you guys, and I know we burned down some.
That's interesting. The liquid haze,
bud
product that you're talking about, and when I know liquids are not yet available in Massachusetts, and they're not yet approved in Massachusetts.
Right.
But that product, liquid haze,
Right.
they're talking about. I mean, I've been smoking since I've been very young, and I tell you, it's a totally different experience. I know people are very eager to try that product. I know that, and they should be.
Oh, absolutely.
So, thank.
Hey, I'm pretty funny as it comes, but it's like being live at the Apollo with me, baby. Down one of those bottles, and it's all over with.
All right. Well, Abigail, thanks for calling in. And
well, you guys have a really great night. I'm gonna make it back out there with some keys.
All right. We'll talk soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Love y'all.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Oh, so that's how we take a phone call.
Hey, it worked. First time.
Hey,
First time to show.
see, if you're watching right now, it's obvious we're doing big things here at the Cannabis Radio Network. We're taking phone calls from viewers just like you. So if we're discussing anything, anytime, this is your show. And I want you to understand that, folks. This is your show. I'm just bringing some of these issues to the forefront that maybe people aren't discussing. When you elect a board, now we have the Cannabis Control Commission, and I think they're doing a fantastic job in many respects, don't get me wrong. But anytime you give a commission that much power, you have to inspect what you expect, so to speak. And they're in such a powerful position, anybody out there that wants a license or anybody out there that has to do business with them or get approval, they're not pointing the finger at them if they're doing something wrong. No, that's not going to happen. We're going to cover people. We're going to cover the stories. We're going to cover all the latest, hottest news. And we're going to point fingers if we need to point fingers, because you, the Massachusetts residents, elected for cannabis to be recreational legal. And we're here. And it's the right place at the right time. And, we're going to follow the story all the way through. The Cannabis Commission Council, they've pushed it back. We're going recreationally legal here in July. And one of the things that I want to talk about, Ken, is absolutely, you can guarantee this, folks, that when it does, when the store is open, the product will be sold out within days, maybe hours. I mean, in Colorado, some of you probably heard this. In Colorado, they had a state of emergency. It was just, hey, we got no more weed. It was a state of emergency in Colorado. And in Massachusetts, it's going to be no different. There's only about a handful of dispensaries that are opening for recreational for users. And recreational users are going to be the first ones that are out of pocket on their weed. They're not going to get any. And that's one of the reasons I want to talk about the medical card in just a minute. So let me see if they're on the line. We have Medwell Health. I believe we have Ann Brum and Beth Post. So let me see if they're on the line. We do have a caller. Hold on one second. Hi, this is Donald Barrett with the Barrett Report. Who's calling?
Hey, Donald. This is actually your interview, Ann Brum and Beth Dose with Medwell Health and Wellness.
All right. Well, welcome. Thank you for
Hi, how
calling
are you?
in. This is actually our first
definitely.
show,
You're
so we've had a
welcome.
little bit
My
of
pleasure.
technical difficulty, so I thank you for bearing with us.
No worries.
All right. I was just going to jump into it myself, but it's very interesting. I learned a lot at the NECAN show. I was talking to Rob, who's also on your team over there at Medwell Health, and he was telling me all the reasons.
Yes, he is.
He was telling me all the reasons why it's so important for people to get a medical card and continue to get and keep their medical card in Massachusetts. So I wanted to have you on the show. With it going legal in July, a lot of people are wondering why even have a card. I mean, my thought process originally was, you know, if like alcohol, if I can go down the street and buy alcohol, why do I have to go get a card or a license to go get it? But then it dawned on me that alcohol is not a medicine. And I'll leave it to you there, but it's pretty interesting, the things they put in place so people will continue to get the medical card. So let's give me a couple of the top reasons, and we'll just start there.
Absolutely. First of all, on behalf of Medwell and myself and Beth, we'd like to thank you, Mr. Donald Barrett, and the Cannabis Radio Network for having us on the show. We, as a team, very much believe in the access and choice to medical cannabis, and is one of the reasons why we are in existence. So first off, just thank you very much. My name is Dan Brum. I am responsible for business development with Medwell Health and Wellness. You can find more information about us at medwellhealth.net. We are currently the only statewide medical cannabis patient card services provider, offering in-home, on-site medical cannabis evaluations for homebound patients, so whether it's palliative care, hospice, those living in facilities, independent living facilities, or for those who would prefer just a private appointment in the comfort of their own home or office. We also have 5 convenient locations throughout Massachusetts, including Brockton, Somerville, Brookline, Lowell, and Pittsfield. What we really love to do as well is collaborate with municipalities, local organizations, cannabis industry professionals, local business owners and operators, in which we strive to create an engaging community experience so we can have this credible dialogue about medical cannabis and what it means to have access and choice to medicate with this beautiful, sacred plant.
Right.
Beth here is, Beth is here with us, Beth Dose, and she
Hello.
is, yes, and I'm going to quickly just introduce Miss Beth. We have Elizabeth Dose here, an RN. She's a senior consultant in the cannabis industry and the very first RN in Massachusetts to advocate for patients to have safe access and choice to cannabis medicine. Beth joined us here at Medwell Health and Wellness as a senior cannabis strategist. She's also joined Medwell's mission to expand our services to those who need it the most, especially to the underserved patient populations, homebound, and the elderly. So I'd like to just introduce and welcome Miss Beth.
Thank you, Ann, for
Beth,
that.
welcome to
Very
the show.
nice. My privilege. Thank you. My privilege.
So quickly, most importantly, yes, medical, remaining a patient in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. We all received, it was on the ballot in 2012, passed 63%. The voters of the Commonwealth said, yes, we should have access, safe access, and the choice to medicate with cannabis, okay? So here we are, 2018, April, and we have approximately shy of 48,000 patients in the program. We are very much, with this emerging adult use market, we really want to hit it home as far as the benefits of remaining medical. And let's not forget, there'd be no adult use access without the hard work and advocacy for the medical use and medical access to cannabis.
Certainly,
Okay?
certainly. And I've been thinking about my medical card for a long time, and I think a lot of people out there that are watching right now, or they're sitting on the couch, they've been thinking about it for a long time and getting their medical card. And when I sat down with Rob at the event, like I said, it's almost like to me it's a no-brainer. So let's jump right into it.
Let's do it.
All right.
Let's do it. So as we know, you hit it home with the taxes. So there is a state mandated tax as well as an optional municipality tax.
Right.
But aside from that, medically speaking, for patients at this time, you're going to have access to delivery. So for those who cannot get out or don't want to be seen at a medical dispensary, at this time they have access to receiving their medication right to their door, right to their home. Them or their caregiver can receive their medication on their behalf.
Okay.
You're also going to have different options when it comes to menus as well.
Okay, as far as what's available
So,
to them. So I just want to start at the very beginning, or for people that are just tuning in and maybe didn't hear me earlier. One of the first reason that we talked about, and I talked about it earlier in the show, is there's no tax with a medical card, right? So you're talking about 20, sometimes 22%
That's correct.
tax that you're going to be able to save every time you walk into a dispensary and have a medical card. So that's a big reason alone why you should continue to have the medical card or go get one. So that's the first one you talked about.
That's right. And you can look at it like this, and this is the nurse speaking. You can walk into CVS and walk right by an aisle that has ibuprofen in it, which is Motrin, and walk right by it, which would be taxed at the counter, and you could go on your merry way. It's a it's a much lower dose than prescription strength. Or you can walk to the back and you can get ibuprofen at prescription strength. You don't pay taxes for it. And in the case of ibuprofen, where it's federally legal, your insurance probably will cover it. And so there have been many, if you look at the dichotomy between cannabis and the medical program, and then what had happened to prescription drugs that were made over the counter, what they basically did was they lowered the strength of the dose so much.
So, this is interesting. So with a medical card, you have product available to you.
Right.
I learned something new again.
So you have product that's available to you that's a wide range of products. There are actually some dispensaries that you can describe your symptoms and they will work on actually personalized cannabis tinctures and formulations. And you get that personalized service. You don't pay taxes on it, and you're seen by a physician. So the physician writes the recommendation, and any time a patient that's chronically ill is seen by a physician, that's very empowering to the patient. For the recreation or the adult use, as we like to call it, and being politically correct, the adult use program, it's going to be taxed very high. The limits are going to be very small, and you're going to have to return back every day if you, I think it's more than a gram, isn't it, Ann?
It depends.
Yeah.
So it depends on what the type of product, whether it's flour and infused.
Now, don't they have to reserve a certain amount of product at the dispensaries as well? They have to reserve them?
And your allowance. So it's restricted and it's limited for daily dispensing for adult use versus medical. So we're talking about medical patients here. This is, in my former operational role at a medical dispensary, you had people and children that were sick and wanted to medicate with an alternative, safer option, for relief where they weren't getting it in a conventional setting.
Right.
So day in and day out, these patients were able to have access to a variety of products, and coming up in July, that perhaps will change.
Right.
As well as, let's not forget that the statute also states that our, registered medical dispensaries by the law have to set aside over 30% of their product for Massachusetts patients, which we believe is the first state to mandate in the whole United States. So kudos to the Massachusetts rules, regulations, and those who have advocated for such access for patients.
Well, I think that's very important because the other
Alliance.
with the other states, when you think about the other states, I mean, when it went recreational, they sold out. There was nothing left. I mean, like I said, in Colorado, it was a state of emergency. So Massachusetts put things in place to reserve product so medical patients will always have it, or at least more likely to have
so
it.
That's the hope.
That's the goal, anyways.
And also, you'll have medical patients will have access to, so different patients treating different conditions will have access to stronger products. So say someone is on a 200 milligram per dose or per day of an infused product that they're consuming, ingesting, or sublingually applying. You know, if you're an adult patient, a non-medical patient, you're going to have to go in there every single day to acquire or to have access to that strength of that product. It's just
Right.
It's so important.
So
to
I mean,
remain
just
medical
to
for patients
recap,
that are
I mean,
using it medicinally.
we're talking about no tax. We're talking about you have access to a stronger product. They're more likely to have the product if you have your medical card. I mean, the list really, I mean, goes on and on. How long does it take somebody?
I mean, you have delivery.
Yeah. How long does it take somebody if they pick up the phone tomorrow and they call Medwell Health? How long does the whole process take? Walk me through it.
All right, so you come in and to any one of our locations, so we come to you, and our website, medwellhealth.net, has a great frequently asked questions page, and it will answer any question. We have a live chat feature for anyone that's afraid to call or come in. We can answer any questions you have about the process. And you come on in, fill out some paperwork. There's over the Department of Public Health for the Commonwealth of Massachusetts has been very generous with qualifying conditions, listing over 250. So as long as you meet those requirements and you see our physician, our licensed healthcare practitioner, and they will provide you an examination and determine whether or not you meet the Department of Public Health qualifications. And then you pay your fee, which averages about $200. However, for veterans, it's always $150 at a 25% off. And then we also have these pop-up clinics where, for example, we're having in Martha's Vineyard in New Bedford for this Saturday and Sunday, and I'll talk about that in just a second. But those are another opportunity to receive a discount for those who are having some kind of financial hardship, and they can get that at a 25% discount as well. So you come in, and you're looking at about 7 days or so after you register with the Department of Public Health. That is important after you are deemed to be a vetted patient in the program. You will then register with the Department of Public Health, and that's when you come to our office. They'll go ahead and explain that, provide paperwork. The Massachusetts Medical Use of Marijuana Program website has been renovated. It has become very more user-friendly to go ahead and register online. So the registration is pretty easy. Get on the Department of Public Health. You have to pay an additional $50 fee, but for those who are on Mass Health or Department of Transit Assistance, that $50 fee will be waived. There is more information on the Medical Use of Marijuana Program for the Massachusetts program that specifically states the poverty level that would how they justify to waive that $50 fee. And then, then you'll get a temporary patient card emailed to you, and then that gives you access into any medical dispensary in the Commonwealth, as well as access to delivery, okay? And I just want to, probably the most important benefit, in addition to everything we've listed to for remaining a medical patient, is the caregivers and institutional caregivers.
Now, explain for our viewer that doesn't
That's
understand
right.
what a caregiver is. Just briefly, just touch on that and how you work with them.
Absolutely. So every patient, every vetted patient in the medical use of marijuana program of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts may assign a personal caregiver, and it's typically a 1-to-1 patient to caregiver ratio. And the exceptions are for those who are an immediate family member of a caregiver. And again, I would recommend going on or searching the Massachusetts medical use of marijuana program. It specifically goes all into the legislation, the rules, the regs, the policy. And you're also more than welcome to email me personally at ann@medwellhealth.net, and I would be happy to email you the link to this information. But the personal caregiver must register with the Department of Public Health, and you, the patient, will assign the caregiver through this online portal called the Virtual Gateway. It sounds like a lot, but I'll email this to you. It's relatively just a step-by-step, pretty easy to go. But you must carry your caregiver registration card with you at all times, and it allows the caregiver to transport the qualifying patient's product, medicine, to wherever they may be within the Commonwealth. They're also able to engage in a sort of limited cultivation on the patient's 60-day supply on behalf of the qualifying patient, either at their primary residence or the residence of the personal caregiver. They may also assist in administering the medical cannabis to the qualifying patient. But most importantly, specifically, what's more exciting in Massachusetts that sets us apart from any other program in the states at this time is the personal caregiver as defined by the Department of Regulations, specifically 105 CMR 725.004. And I just want to quote, a person registered by the department who is at least 21 years old, who has agreed to assist with a registered qualifying patient's medical use of marijuana, and is not the registered qualifying patient's certifying physician, an employee of a hospice provider, nursing, or medical facility, or a visiting nurse, personal care attendant, or home health aide providing care to a qualifying patient may serve as a personal caregiver, including to patients under 18 years of age as a second caregiver. So that just created a whole access to an underserved patient population.
Right. Well, it's an additional benefit if you have a card that you can work with a caregiver. Right? I mean,
absolutely. And Beth has a ton of experience in institutions, in hospice. Both of us have hospice backgrounds, and she's just an all-star when it comes to instituting policy, rules, and regs, and she understands that conventional side of things. But to have access to this as a patient, as a medical cannabis patient, we need to have the conversation, because these patients in these homes, this is their home. They're not going to a private residence. This is it.
Got it.
That's absolutely
it's so
right.
important. I mean, the elderly. I mean, I'm sure
Yes.
that's one of the highest growing populations actually trying it for medical reasons. One of the benefits that I want to talk about.
We find that
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, I was just going to say I was going to agree with you. That we find that the elderly patients are very nimble in their thinking, and they're wanting to try cannabis. They feel that it will help reduce their polypharma, and polypharma is when you take one drug that has a side effect, You take another drug to mitigate that side effect, and you take them for several disease process, and before you know it, you're taking 26 pills a day.
Right.
And that's particularly prevalent in the elderly, and that's just typical of our medical establishments right now.
Got it. One of the
So
other
we see
reasons I want to
many
touch on
patients
real quick,
that
because we only have a couple minutes, but one of the other reasons I want to touch on real quick, in addition to the taxes and saving on the taxes, in addition to having a caregiver, in addition to getting home delivery, you know, there's a lot of legal reasons. I was talking to one of my friends, and I was telling him I was doing the show on getting a medical card. And he's like, yeah, I got my medical card, you know, when they first came out. And he said it was interesting because I was in a custody battle with my wife, and she always called me a druggie because I smoked marijuana, even though I used it for my anxiety. When I went to court, I had my medical card, and they didn't look at me like a druggie anymore. They looked at me like more like a patient, like someone. It was a totally different thing. And I think a lot of people out there, you know, for legal reasons, they have a medical condition. Go get your card, because there's a lot of ancillary benefits as well. Not just the saving the money, not just the home delivery.
That's right,
but you know, so you're not looked at like, you know.
And springboarding off your comment with your friend, just to springboard off there, we have one. A woman was fired from her job. She disclosed that she was a medical cannabis patient. They said that wouldn't be a problem. They drug tested her. They fired her. She took it to the Supreme Court. She won. So there is precedent in Massachusetts for medicating with cannabis if you have a medical card. So that springboards right off your friend's experience, where once he had the medical card, it made all the difference in the world for him in his particular situation with his wife or soon-to-be ex-wife, and I'm sure their family structure. But the real reason is that cannabis is a very powerful a medication, is a powerful plant medicine that interfaces directly with the mother modulator called the endocannabinoid system. And in doing so, that's why it works so effectively in so many disease states. And like Ann said, we have to remember that the adult use program was built off the back of now going on 6 years of medical strife in order to get the dispensaries open that are open now. And we also have to remember and respect the fact that the dispensaries that are open now and are continuing to opening have gone through rigorous vetting by the Department of Public Health and by our state. And so we know that there is a certain level of quality. We know that there's a certain level of testing. We know that there are mandated background checks. So we know that there's tight security. We know there's delivery programs, and that they bring the best to the patients that are the frailest. And we have to remember, too, that the patients that are coming to cannabis, unfortunately, are coming to cannabis as a last-ditch effort. So we see very fragile patients that are in a lot of pain, cancer patients with neurological disorder, movement disorders, and they're very fragile. And we really want to, as a society, be remembered for having compassion for patients. And it was the humanitarian act of 2012 that was passed. And
Terrific.
so the adult use program will take care of itself.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Patients that
I'm sure it
need
will.
People, and that's why we're so grateful to be on your show.
Yeah, well, we're gonna have you back because. But I thought this was a very
encourage them to
important. I'm sorry to interrupt. We only have a minute left. But we want to have you back.
No,
It's
it's
such an
okay.
important subject because everybody was saying, you know, why do I need to get a medical license, or why should I continue to go get my license for cannabis? And I think we just laid out a whole host of reasons. And you know, most everyone that I know uses it, and they use it for some type of condition, whether it's depression, anxiety, stress. You know, it's just incredible. So I know Medwell Health.
And let's remember, it's an exit drug. Yep.
Oh yeah, I know.
That's
That's a whole nother show for sure.
For your listeners to think.
It's
That's
not
a
only
whole
with,
nother
and
show,
that's a whole
but
nother
I did
show
want to
because it's
just
not
say
just
that
with
it is.
opiates, it's with alcohol as well. I've been reading story after
Big
story of people
Pharma
that are
is
coming
now
off of
in-
alcohol
right.
with cannabis.
Yep.
You know, it's just
Yeah.
tremendous. So,
Yep.
you know, the towns and the
We'll come
communities
back to
that are
that
fighting
show.
it, saying
We will.
right. So, okay, Ann and Beth, I want to thank you for being on the show. We do have to wrap it up here real quick.
Yes.
But we will have you back. Medwell Health, where
Thank
can
you very much.
give me your website one more
Yes.
time, and give me the special offer you have for our listeners.
Absolutely. Yes, we have medwellhealth.net. Follow us, give us a show. We are on all social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Give us a review on Yelp, Google or marijuanadoctors.com. We have 5 locations: Brookline, Somerville, Brockton, Lowell, Pittsfield. But we will come to you. In fact, I'm producing an event, a pop-up clinic, Martha's Vineyard, this Saturday, the 14th. If you know anyone that would benefit from learning about cannabis, the Cannabis Station program in Massachusetts, as well as receiving their patient card, we will come to you. We will bring our service to you. So definitely call us. If you're a business owner, operator, or an institutional caregiver, we will bring our services to you. So do not wait. Relief is here and now. So thank you very much for having us.
All right, yeah, we'd love to have you back. So thanks for coming on the show. I'm just going to wrap it up here, and I'll let our viewers know on social media as well. So thanks for calling in.
Have a good evening.
All right, folks, well, that went a little bit late, but we're just wrapping it up. Again, if you're looking to get your medical card, we were talking to the girls from Medwell Health for just a few minutes, okay? But to me, it's a no-brainer. You're going to save on the tax, 20, 22%. I mean, imagine every time you walk into a dispensary, you get a quarter ounce. I mean, what does it cost? $80, $100 for a quarter ounce? I mean, to pay an extra $22 is just ridiculous. And most people I know that get a quarter get one every 2, 3, 4 weeks. So you can save a tremendous amount of money because you're not going to have to pay the tax if you get your medical card. You can get a caregiver to help you out if you're an elderly person. They will also come to your home to help you get your license. They have 5 locations, Medwell Health does, but they'll also come right out to your home. So there's a lot of different benefits. Another benefit is the legal benefits. If you have a custody battle, or you're worried about testing, cannabis testing, you should have a card, folks. Go get a card. Call Medwell Health. And all the different reasons that we discussed on this show, and there's many others, just go to Medwell Health and read about it. Again, my name is Donald Barrett, and this is the Barrett Report. Every Sunday night, 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock, we're going to be talking about the hottest issues, and we're going to be talking to the latest companies about everything that's cannabis here in Massachusetts. So stay with us, tell your friends, and join us. We're going to be hanging out every Sunday night at 9 o'clock. So thanks for being with us. We'll see you next time.